They died singing, and their ghosts could still be heard. The prophecies, spit like pestilence by the false prophets throughout the war, made many believe the end of the world was nigh. They must have locked themselves up and died on their knees. Fireflies danced around the entrance as if to guide like torchlight those who dared enter there. On the entrance hall, one could see scars on the walls, scars made by flames and arrowheads. They were found before the war could end. As the pilgrim took the first step inside, his feet got wet. The whole place was flooded, not by rain but by tears. They probably never had time to react when the assault came. The world did end for them. The war ended for no one. He whistled, and the fireflies came to him and started blinking in synchronicity with the music of the ghosts, ebbing and flowing, bringing day and night in a matter of seconds through the light produced by their swarm. Despite the talons in his feet and the shaggy plumage around his neck, they saw the pilgrim not as a predator, but as a friend. Our pilgrim has an owl soul. He is a rat slayer and a spider tamer from the psalm singers. He has 1 fortitude, 0 grace, and 2 wisdom. As a psalm singer, he rose with advantage to bind and with advantage against oppression. He asked the fireflies to talk to him, and within their light he saw fire, and he saw someone wicked, lacking its skin, laughing at its own kin. We draw 2 bonfires and a skinless false prophet. Since we have +1 against the yellow coven, we will prophesy their coming first. The swarm revolved around him. Their light went off, except for 2 bright eyes, then a pair of wings, and then a beak, a bat, a raven, and a snake, a lich, a thief, and a traitor. He sang along with the ghosts, and darkened wings fluttered against the backdrop of the swarm. We will go with the bat first. As he opened his mouth to sing, he swallowed the swarm whole. Nostalgia, drunkenness, and melancholy all came to him in a single wave as his body became like a living hive. He would have nostalgia first, then drunkenness, for old habits die hard. And he stepped into the chapel, now turned into a mass grave, a monument for things that should never be forgotten, and he would be looking for tears, for crystals of salt. We roll a full success against oppression, a partial success against apparitions, but a failure for relics. The ghosts did not trust him yet. On the first turn of scavenging through the flooded hall, amongst bones and salty water, the ghosts suddenly stopped singing and started screaming. A skinless bat, human-sized, with a human-like face, made of muscle, sinew, and hatred, raised himself out of the water. The skin of all his body and wings were like those of humans. The skinless bat has 11 life points and deals +2 damage due to the false prophet card. On a failure, he would recover life points equal to the sum of both dice. Our pilgrim shrieks, and the fireflies are vomited forth and swarm the bat, who still manages to march forward and strike the pilgrim. We deal 6 points of damage and take 5 in return. The pilgrim falls to the floor where his hand meets a ribcage bone. He immediately gets up and sticks its point in the lower belly of the creature in an upward movement, just to see it fall. The entity within it tries to escape in a shape of mist, but the pilgrim sings and the swarm takes a shrunk mummified liver out of the body before it fully burns, now a bead in the pilgrim's prayer robe. The ghosts start singing again, a song of joy and victory over death, and we manage to find 2 relics. The ghosts go silent again, briefly, as tension fills the air along with arson smoke and a shape the size of a small dog, the color of coal, with feathers in flames, flies forth towards him. A bonfire raven, dealing +1 damage with 10 LP. The flaming beak of the red-eyed thing hits the pilgrim in the shoulder and we take 4 points of damage, but the rib bone in the pilgrim's hand manages to hit the brittle cold body of the thing, as the fireflies also attack it, dealing 8 points of damage. The creature is dizzy, and the pilgrim's swarm manages to bring it to the ground while he strikes with the bone again. The thing spits flame, dealing 3 points of damage before perishing. The pilgrim prays with a slumbering tongue covered in fireflies. The ghosts sing with him, and the thing is bound, feathers and charcoal as beads. Rummaging through the room, we find one more crystal tear. The room remains silent, only the humming ghosts as within the water he manages to find 7 more tears of salt. And as he holds these tears, he is reminded of the feasts and of the dancing before the war came, and we are hit by nostalgia, +2 to chain creatures and false prophets in the next shrine. Also, every oppression card will cover a spot in our prayer robe, preventing us from using the beads they exhaust. We are able as players to choose which bead that would be. And the skulls beneath the pilgrim cry with him, giving him 8 more of their tears. And the crying turns into weeping, as the noise of crushing bones comes from beneath the water. The fireflies seem agitated as the water ripples and a dark python rises in a striking position in front of the pilgrim. It has empty eye sockets like those of skulls for a brief moment before flame comes out of them, almost blinding the pilgrim. A bonfire serpent, it has 12 LP plus 1 damage, and on failure it suffers 1 extra level of oppression on the pilgrim. The pilgrim strikes, shrieking as an owl protecting its nest, and he bites the thing before it can bite him. The fireflies dance and the ghosts raise their voices in psalms as the darkened thing is crushed. It takes 8 points of damage. It tries to roll itself around the pilgrim, slightly crushing his arm for 3 points of damage, but the rib bone is brought up, piercing its flaming eye that sparks and fizzles as the thing crumbles into dust. The fireflies manage to carry more pieces of coal and a split tongue, now tied with the other beads on the pilgrim's waist. The pilgrim moves forward and finds an alcove, a crying statue, rotten fruits beneath it as offerings, another saint whose name was forgotten during the war. With flint in hand, he lights a small flame in a dry corner of the alcove. In the fire, he throws 5 relics for the bonfire bead and 6 for the skinless one. Since we were afflicted by nostalgia, being left with 7 relics total, and being forced to let the other damned souls go back to their endless wandering. There, we ask the fireflies for a prophecy, but it is the ghosts who answer. The next room is per aspera ad astra. Oppression and apparition dice will be reduced to a d8, but we will roll a d12 with advantage as our relic die. 5 more relics are thrown into the fire to heal the LP back to 15, and 2 to heal another level of oppression. I had forgotten to resolve an oppression card. I pulled it and it was drunkenness, which would turn the search die to a d6. We will use an extra action in the shrine to get rid of it, but that will prevent us from prophesying in this shrine. We have 4 actions per shrine. We have already chained, healed oppression level, healed life points, and now by getting rid of an oppression, we are out of actions. We now have chained a bonfire and a skinless bead, giving us a total of +3 damage. The fireflies guide the pilgrim to the next room, going further down a set of stairs. stepping into a soaking stone floor under the gaze of silt and moss. We dig through it, singing prayers along with the ghosts, but no relics present themselves. Nothing but the singing of the ghosts and the erratic flight of the fireflies. We roll oppression and relics, relics always being resolved first. We roll with advantage and get 8 relics, 8 more tears of salt. And once again we are hit by nostalgia. Maybe it is the salt of the tears that remind the pilgrim of the sea. How even the wind could smell like salt, where fish were plenty and would almost fly themselves inside the fish nets before the leviathans came. The ghosts once again feel his nostalgia and seem to empathize with it, giving us 12 more relics. But now, their crying seems to lure something towards us. The fireflies all turn bright to allow the pilgrim to see further in the dark. Dancing with the shadows around it, a wolf-sized headless bat marches toward us. It carries its head with it in one of its wings, and on top of it, it wears a cone hat, like those of penitents. The headless bat has 11 LP and deals +1 damage. Since the headless false prophet is from the Black Coven, we use wisdom to strike, and we have +2 against it. Before the thing can strike the pilgrim, the swarm of fireflies darts towards it, striking as the pilgrim spits forth more of them to siege the demonic creature ahead. We deal 10 points of damage. Before it could react, the pilgrim jumps forward, stabbing it multiple times, killing the thing before it could whisper any lies. We roll to bind. With a full success, we bind them both, beast and false prophet. With the bat wing on the prayer rope, a psalm is sung and the pilgrim heals 6 LP. However, we were also hit by an oppression. The same way we seize and imprison the beast, we were once imprisoned.
By spreading lies, the pilgrim remembers now. He was wise as an owl. He remembers a huge tower facing the ocean, the smell of salt and fish. But this time he feels not nostalgia, but the cold touch of iron shackles and crude stonework, naked on a bed of rocks.
We are now at the second level of oppression, losing 2 LP per turn. Once again, the ghosts start to sing, their choirs bringing forth more petrified tears, 9 of them this time. We lose 2 LP due to oppression. And as the song goes louder and louder, the room starts to shake, and even the fireflies threaten to flee as one of the walls ahead breaks, spreading debris and dust everywhere. As a grunting boar rushes towards the pilgrim, it squeals in pain, for it has no skin, its veins and muscles pulsing and pumping, enraged. It was a great warrior. It somehow died here. It wants revenge on all things that commit the crime of living. The skinless boar has 14 LP and +2 damage. On the first partial or full success, it will deal damage equal to the highest die. As it hits the pilgrim with the full force of its body, the pilgrim manages to jump onto his back, stabbing it close to the neck. The choirs sing louder now. Visions come to the pilgrim of bull riding and boar leaping as a crowd cheered. We take 8 points of damage and deal 10. The fireflies flash their light, making the boar advance towards them. Their light goes out, and the thing collides with a dead wall. Its skull cracks down to the middle of it. Blood and brain matter create a wicked portrait against the wall. The pilgrim, who managed to jump off before the crash, takes 3 points of damage. And we have a full success in our binding roll. So despite his dizziness, the pilgrim manages to collect the souls of the thing, a tusk and a bit of blood in a vial. And the visions he had now make him feel angry, boiling with anger with the will to hunt and slaughter. But the wall the boar exploded through reveals a hidden part of the chapel, and some light shines forth from it. A small statue, a lantern hanging from a staff, an old man with long beard and a tall pointy hat carrying it. Countless candles burned beneath the feet of his statue. The pilgrim lights a fire in the lantern. Since this is the chapel before the third room, we will achieve ascension. We are now promoted to Hieromonk. We get plus 6 LP to our total. It won't be a full heal, but we get the 6 extra LP added to our current life points. We reset the turns and we have 28 relics to spend. Since we have nostalgia once again, we pay 12 relics for the boar, burning the crystal tears in the lantern of the Forsaken Saint. We spend 2 relics to get rid of 1 oppression level, 6 relics for another skinless bead, and all the other relics are burned to heal the pilgrim. And we now are at 18 LP. As we converse with the fireflies, they prophesy the new room we are about to enter in our pilgrimage. Flames fall before fear. Oppression die is reduced by 1 level of success to a minimum of D8. We also get a major blessing, and we now roll against possession from the Black Coven with advantage. Since jail prevents us from fully prophesying the decks and anger can be quite a nasty oppression, adding plus 4 to the next beast's LP, we will spend 1 action to get rid of the oppression cards, and we will go blind to the next room. With a boar bead in our prayer robe, we are well equipped to proceed. Against oppression, we rolled a partial success, but it will be decreased by 1 level due to the effect of the next room. We roll partial successes for apparitions and relics. The ghosts seem to be restless here. Their voices now yell and whisper beside singing. They want to escape, and they shed no tears. Beyond the old saint's statue, the flood decreases, but there are tears as black as moonless heavens from the cracks in the walls. As the pilgrim touches by accident one of the black tears, he once again dreams of prison, but this time he is the one with the keys.
As emaciated figures huddle, shrunken against each other in the cell, they were cold.
Jail will exhaust the bonfire bead, since it is the weakest one we have right now. Turn 4, automatic success, we get 10 relics and we get plus 1 relic per row, 3rd room forward. The ghosts again feel the pilgrim's suffering and yield their tears to help him in his pilgrimage, even though they do not fully trust him. Another row, no apparitions, but once again we are oppressed. Drunkenness, it won't affect us much, but the pilgrim suddenly notices how his throat is dry, and he wishes not for water, but wine and mead.
And the emaciated figures in the cell were also thirsty.
We roll a d6 as a search die, but only a result of 6 would prevent us getting any relics. We get 6 more relics when a low growl makes the pilgrim's heart skip a beat. His heart is pounding like drums of war from the deep. His skin smothers, suffocates him. He is gasping for air, for his lungs are arrested by black smoke. Bigger than he remembered them to be, a bear comes his way, as if a king of that place, and he can feel the ghosts fleeing, once again shrieking. The black tears on the walls now become a black waterfall. The bear was on fire, his skin dripping and melting, his paws creating ponds of lava where it stepped, and it looked emaciated. A bonfire bear, +1 damage and 16 life points. Immediately, the pilgrim pierces the boar tooth on his prayer rope against his leg, and he gains +10 LP. Before the pilgrim can advance, the beast vomits a stream of fire and bile, bones and flesh, burning the pilgrim, scarring his skin and taking some of the fireflies with it. On a failure, a bear will deal the damage of the highest die times 2. The pilgrim takes 5 points of damage and will have to roll against possession by the end of the fight. As the pilgrim screams in pain, anger takes hold of him, and his face becomes like that of a barn owl, and feathers painfully jut out of his arms, bloodied and pathetically small. Since we have an owl soul, after the first failure against an apparition, we get a +1 to hit, damage, and bind. As the pilgrim prepares to get up and attack, the bear speaks.
The choirs. Is this the wind that brought back their cries?
And with that, all the souls scream, and we take 3 points of damage. As the pilgrim takes a deep breath, within the light of the fire consuming all around him, he sees a small blinking light, a firefly drowning in magma, still trying to outshine the hellish fire that consumes it as it takes its final breath. The bear jumps over the pilgrim, who avoids the strike and with its newly formed beak pecks at the beast's tendon, dealing 9 points of damage. The thing bites, tearing flesh and feather from the pilgrim's arm, who uses the talons at his feet to tear open the belly of the thing, spilling forth viscera and magma. Dealing 8 points of damage, we kill the creature. But now, fur starts growing as well as canines, and a snout tries to form on the pilgrim's beak. We will roll against possession. We roll a full success and our pilgrim resists it. And as the black tears dry, the still living fireflies bring the pilgrim a slice of the thing's pelt and more charcoal. The dead fireflies for some reason are still shining, illuminating the floor as if a constellation of stars, born not of heavens but of earth, guiding the pilgrim to yet another statue, covered in thorns and leaves, somehow still green.